I'm Amy. That's my husband, Glen. That guy.
Yeah. So, so Fiona mentioned I'm not a member of the club, and she mentioned I do not drive or ride a BMW. But I did bring my Suzuki camping chair. It's cheap, it's comfortable, and it hasn't broken down once. So, Suzuki, everybody. Interesting, this picture, when we talk about camping. So this trip, we did a combination of camping and hotels. We're at that point where we've realized camping and sleeping on the ground all the time is very uncomfortable. Took us a little while to realize that. But having said that, this picture is actually taken on an abandoned airfield. So if you're looking for a place to camp or you're looking for a place to overnight and you're stuck and you're not sure, and you're looking at Google Maps and you're trying to find something and you don't know where to go, or Airbnb is not working out, there's no hotels available, there are a lot of abandoned airfields all across Canada, and you can camp on them. It's great. So yeah, we'll go with next picture.
What if a plane? How do you know if they're abandoned?
Yeah.
Well,
if you hear an engine, right?
you just gotta kind of hope. So every good presentation has an organizational chart. For those of you who either work in the federal service or still working for the federal service, no presentation is complete without an org chart. So Amy decides where we want to go, and her staff work out all the details. And so that's kind of what we do.
That's not what we want.
No, that's not what we want.
You're obviously not tech support.
Okay, tell them what you do for a living.
They don't let me touch the keyboard anymore. I have to deal with people now. So the first day of the trip was Emerald, Ontario to Cathedral Pines in Eustis, Maine. Normally when we've done this ride in the past, this was our longest day. This day, what we usually like to do is we get up early in the morning, and I'm not sure if any of you folks have been through southern Quebec, but if you've been through Venison, Quebec, it's a fantastic spot. We chose to avoid that route because we figured it's going to be the longest day. So we actually took the highway as much as possible with this route, thinking it was going to take forever. Turns out this was one of our shortest days, even though it was one of the longest kilometers. We got into Maine about 2 in the afternoon. Everything was fine, so wasn't really a good appreciation of time. But then again, once you hit the highway, it's pretty wide open.
Still a nice ride, even though it was highway.
Yeah.
We do find it more interesting, going up through the top as opposed to going down through the Trans-Canada to get out east. It's very boring doing that, so.
So day one was a camping day. Day one was also a chance for us to start eating some of the food that we have got. Interestingly enough, we met a guy from Guelph who was selling MREs out of the back of his van. And before you think that's weird, he was the emergency preparedness coordinator for the city of Guelph. So we just thought it was good, and we saved a bundle.
What's an MRE?
Meal ready to eat.
So who asked the first question?
I did.
Who did? Congratulations.
I win something.
You got a meal in a bag.
So just so that you guys can see, this is an MRE. They come in various flavors. This one is a breakfast one. This is maple rolled oats. It also comes with a cherry blueberry cobbler, a chocolate chip toaster pastry, which you can cook over a fire. We've done it. Snack bread, cocoa beverage powder, aka hot chocolate, grape jelly, and a fruit punch flavored beverage powder, which is like your electrolyte powder, but they're really, really sugary. So, you'll be jacked up for like a good hour if you drink it. This is the breakfast package.
How many people is that for?
We usually split one.
We will split it, and we'll still have leftovers for lunch.
Yeah, we usually split it because everything in here is it comes in little packages, but it also has its own heater inside. So you don't have to make a fire or anything. It's literally you put water in it, it heats up on its own exothermically, and you stick your pouch inside and it heats up your food. So,
What's that MRE stand for?
meal ready to eat.
Where did you get that? That's
Some guy in a van. So,
Some guy in the
So these are a more deluxe version of the Canadian military ration packs that Glenn is very familiar with.
so the emergency preparedness coordinator for Guelph, Ontario. Basically, what happens is those MREs are shelf stable for about 5 to 10 years. Every year they have to rotate their batch. So what they do is they just sell them, usually to crazy people and survivalists and tinfoil hat wearing folks. We left our tinfoil hat at home, but we were able to meet with the fellow and purchase a whole bunch of boxes for a really good deal. Yeah, they're about $250 a case. We picked them up for $100 a case. So
How many in the case?
12.
meals. Yeah, it's
But-
still cheaper to go out to the grocery store and buy some apples, buy some fruit, and buy whatever you need. But if you're just heading off for a couple of days and you just want to grab and go for the first day or two, they're excellent.
Or if you want to have some backup food,
Yep.
you know. So I'll pass it around. You guys can take a look at it if you want.
You get to keep yours.
Andre won a prize.
beef ravioli in meat sauce meal kit.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'll let you know.
There's other extras in there too. Yeah.
Amy, where do you buy such things?
Well, like we said,
You can go online.
You can go online and buy
You can
them.
get them on Amazon. You can go online. There's companies called totalpreparedness.ca. You can buy them there. Basically, any company now pretty much sells them. They do take up a lot of space. The trick with the MREs is to open them up, break them down, take only what you need. If you're not if you don't drink hot cocoa or you don't drink the grape drinks or you don't care to eat with a fork, you can leave all that stuff behind and just bring only what you need as well. And because they're shelf stable, because they're very, very well packaged, you can cram them into every nook and cranny you've got. So if you got a free space, you just put them somewhere. If you don't want to use the heater and you want a warm meal, just put it on your grill strap on the back of your bike and leave it in the sun, and it should be okay.
For those of you with the big boxer engines, just put one on
Yeah.
each side. You're good to go.
So day two. Day two took us from Cathedral Pines in Maine to a place called Cottonwood. We were going to stay in Bar Harbor. If anybody's actually been to Bar Harbor, I mean, it's very touristy. The problem with Bar Harbor is it's very expensive. So if you didn't, if we're camping and you're looking at anywhere between $20 US to $60 US a night, if you go to Bar Harbor, you're spending almost $120 US on a campsite. And that's not something I'm willing to do. $120 US to me is a Motel 8, at least, just down the road. And because we didn't want to do the motels at that particular time, it was the campsite, and that's what we like to do. So this day was actually was a very short kilometer drive, but this day took a long time. We didn't actually get into Cottonwood till about 5 or 6 p.m. And the reason being is Maine has, just outside of Bangor, has got an amazing Army surplus store. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to a U.S. Army surplus store, but what a fantastic, you see every gun and you see everything that the Americans, we are America, and they show the flag, and you get a chance to look, and it's awe-inspiring. The other part on this too is, if you've never fired a machine gun before and you want to fire a machine gun, a lot of the U.S. Army surplus stores will let you go in and just test fire whatever they happen to be shooting that day.
Yeah, so
and it's a little neat, especially if you haven't shot a weapon before, especially a high-powered weapon. A lot of times they'll let you go in there and have some fun.
if you go in on a Thursday, it's Ladies'
Ladies'
Day.
night, yeah.
So you get to shoot for free.
Yeah.
Ladies' choice.
They do have 50 caliber, but it's not a rifle version. It's very interesting. So, really fun trip part about this is everything we've got will fit on the bikes very comfortably. 14 days and everything that we took fit on the bikes. We didn't want for anything except for some food and water from time to time. But everything else, everything we wore, everything we were wearing, everything that we had to utilize fit on the bikes. One of the golden rules for camping, especially if you're doing a long trip, is everything must serve two purposes. And don't double up on kit if you don't have to. I wouldn't bring a first aid kit. If Amy was bringing a first aid kit, the problem therein lies is when you're waiting for to blow up your air mattress and you can't get the blow up dongle for the air mattress because it's being used. So you just got to kind of wait and be patient. Blueberry Land. There's really there's this crazy blueberry place in Maine. If you ever get a chance, if you're heading out on either Highway 1 or Highway 9, you'll come across Blueberry Land.
We kind of stumbled across it, and I'm like, of course, we're driving along, and I'm like, what the hell is that? What's that big blue thing? And Glenn's like, I don't know. And he's like, was close to the campground. I'm like, let's pull in. I'm like, oh my God, it's wild blueberry land.
Yeah. So they had lots of really neat stuff. It was good. And it's interesting because the campsites in the United States, they don't cost a lot of money at all. They might cost you anywhere between $10 US to $30 US. That includes Wi-Fi, showers, laundry, pools, some of them, restaurants. So they're really starting to up their game a little bit.
We were really impressed with this campground.
Yeah.
It was really, really nice.
That's an on-site host. If you need anything, you just knocked on the door. Everything was great. It was really fantastic. We really enjoy Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. If you ever get it, I mean, I'm sure you've all been through there, I'm hoping. It's just such a great place. And then when you get to Maine, you realize that Maine should be part of Canada. Yeah, it's really tough to want to leave.
Well, if you look at it on a map, like it really should be part of Canada.
So day three was, we left Columbia Falls. We left a little later in the day, and we went all the way to Alma, New Brunswick. That's New Brunswick, for those people who can't spell like myself. We did the Fundy Trail. So if you haven't done the Fundy Trail yet, get on the Fundy Trail. I think it
Parkway,
costs, I think it's $8 vehicle. It's got some amazing asphalt, twists and turns, hills, views, you name it. It's a fantastic place.
It's shorter, but it does definitely rival the Cabot Trail as far as scenery and twisties and quality of road. It was just beautiful. We were blown away at what we got out of it, and our expectations were we just kept things very open, but it blew our expectations out of the water. So it was really, really nice.
Stayed in a little town called Alma. If you haven't been to Alma, it's a really nice, it's a cute little fishing village. There are some national parks next to Alma. My recommendation is stay away from the national parks. Provincial parks are way better than national parks, in my opinion.
We weren't even allowed to have a campfire in the
national parks. It's just cram as many folks in as they possibly can, and then they call it a good experience. That's not what we look for an experience. What we look for is logging roads. We're going to look for little side roads off the highway, and we'll try to take advantage of those. There are a lot of websites that you can go on to, especially once you get into the Maine, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia area, where if you wanted to do a bunka-biker, if you wanted to just camp in Crown land, if you wanted to just camp off the side of the road, if you don't mind a little road noise, there are dozens and dozens of places that
we
are
like
available.
Gaia GPS and iOverlander. Those are two really good resources. So that's Alma. It's literally a nice little fishing village.
Yep.
So good food, amazing views. So we kept stopping along the Fundy Trail Parkway because how do you beat those views? You just stop and you're like, wow, I'm in a postcard. So it's amazing. So, oh, by the way, this is one of our favorite fish and chip snacks or shacks when we go out. It's Aussie's fish and chips, and the fried clams that they do there are fantastic. So,
Yeah, really good.
Where's that?
It's let's
Aussie's.
go back. Can I go back to previous? I'm trying to go back to previous.
Might have
There we
actually
go.
do
No,
it.
no, I got it right here.
Huh.
So Aussie's is
It's close to Diggy-to-Wash.
I'm not going to be able to go back.
Glenn, we got a question back here.
Shoot, yeah.
How long ahead did you need to reserve those campgrounds usually? Like a few days, or is it on the day of, or was it before you left?
The boss loves an itinerary. I do not like itineraries. What I will try to do is wing it, right? I don't really like to know that I have to be in a certain spot at a certain time in order to reserve a site. However, because
The first few days where we had a timing to get to due to my uncle's passing, those first few days we kind of had to set that schedule. So in advance, 1 day in advance. If you're going June, July, you'll probably have to do a couple of days in advance. Towards August, September, you can get away with 1 day. September, October, you can just show up and they'll be available. Again, if you don't mind the abandoned runways, which we think are abandoned, if you don't mind those logging roads, those are free. I do recommend bear spray. I do recommend carrying at least some sort of straight edge knife, straight blade knife, just in case something were to happen. But there's really, if you're within a kilometer or two off of any major road, the animals aren't going to be hanging out there much anyways. They don't like the noise.
No.
But if you don't mind just camping anywhere, you'll be fine. And there's enough spots along the way where you don't have to worry about, am I going to have to dig a toilet? No, you're not going to have to do that. There's a Tim Hortons 20 minutes back that way. You'll be fine. You're not going to have to worry about stuff like that. What you do have to be conscious about is, one, leaving no trace, and two, being careful where you set a fire. It might not want to have a fire. Maybe you just got a little lantern, and that's what you want to do instead. Yeah, so the fish and chip place right here at St. George.
So actually, St. George is a bit of a hidden gem, really. Everybody always wants to go to St. Andrews by the Sea and see that, very touristy. St. George is just beautiful. It's so quiet. The people are very friendly. There's lots to see and do there, like as far as like hiking and looking at the water, if that's your thing. It's really, really nice there.
So day 4 and 5, we took the scenic route. That was a very, very quick day. We arrived in Parsboro, where my family is. Most of my family actually is there. We arrived in Parsboro, I think, at noon, and we couldn't check in until 3. This is where we stayed in a motel. So my sister was able to come and pick us up. We went out to her place. She moved out there, actually. It's kind of like a side story. She sold her house in Barrie and moved east and bought a fantastic property that overlooks the Bay of Fundy. Well done to her. Very, very envious. But we spent 2 days in Parsboro.
So that's where we stayed the first night, the Maple Inn. If you're ever in the Parsboro area, they're very motorcycle friendly. They have a parking lot in the back. They're quite happy to let you park your bikes very securely back there. They don't care what luggage you bring in. They'll store stuff for you. Fantastic couple. We've stayed there numerous times now. We've gotten to know the owners quite well. Really, really nice couple.
That bed and breakfast, that motel, used to be a hospital. I was born in that hospital.
Glen was born
And the
there.
creepy part is we stayed in the room where I was born in at one point. So it's there's a lot of history there.
Yeah, it's actually that room right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and roadside motels. I can't say enough for roadside motels. They've really upped their game. So if you do need to stay in a motel and you're not fixed on a Best Western or a Super 8, roadside motels, almost most of them now, they're really, really coming up in quality. They're really coming up in amenities and what they offer, and it's still a fairly reasonable, good price.
And you can play chess.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was our breakfast that we had there too. So he does a really fantastic breakfast. One of the other interesting places that we found along the route too was a place called Tatamagouche. I don't know if anybody's ever been there or heard of it. They have a railway museum there, and it's really quirky to go down there and look at the old cars. And you can actually stay in the cars too. So we talked about the next time we go, we might actually stay in a railway car, just for something different.
The owner of the motel, he's a musician by trade, and he plays at, I want to say, Carnegie Hall.
Yes, he does every Christmas.
So when he closes up,
he's a conductor at
he goes down to Carnegie Hall, and that's where he does his business. Unfortunately, he's had a run of family issues. Unfortunately, his son passed away, and his wife had a stroke. So, but he runs the motel. He's got some help, and then in the winter months when it's closed down, he goes down and just plays music and creates music.
Well, he's a conductor too.
Yeah.
So
really, really good, especially when you get some family and friends in that place. You get down into the social area. There's a piano. It's really a lot of fun.
So that was our first break from camping too. So it was nice to take a shower and get cleaned up a little bit.
Next day, or day 6, we left Parsboro. So what we did is, as my uncle wanted his ashes scattered in the ocean. So I thought it was creepy. But we did that, and I wouldn't want to, you don't want to go mussel fishing in that area. There were a lot of bubbles, and it took a long time for the ashes to dissipate. But it was really, really something to see, that type of Eastern style funeral.
Send-off,
It was
yeah.
really nice. Yeah, so then we left Parsboro, and we headed out towards the Cabot Trail. But in order to get to the Cabot Trail, we stopped at a place called Linwood Harbor. Linwood Harbor Campground was an established campground. I think we went there because we wanted a good night's rest prior to hitting the Cabot Trail. We didn't want to be riding around till 8, 9 p.m. trying to find a place off the side of the road where we'd like to camp. Right, that was some of the, if you do the North Cumberland shore, I believe it is, and the ride, you'll see fantastic beach, warm water. It's some of the warmest currents in the Atlantic. In fact, it's sometimes it can be as high as 22 degrees, so it's very, very comfortable, very, very nice.
And Pictou is a lovely area too.
Yeah.
Lots of motorcycles in Pictou.
I don't know if you guys have ever swum in the ocean, but there's a kind of a rule going around now. Don't swim in the ocean if it's more than waist deep now. There are way too many sharks moving north. So with that, just make sure if you are going to be swimming in the ocean, or if that's where you happen to be bathing for the day, if you will, just make sure you're relatively close to the shore. Anything more than waist deep, and people are starting to say that's not a good idea anymore.
Because they're not just like mild sharks, they're tiger and great whites that are now showing up in Nova Scotia. And we've seen them. Like you all of a sudden see a little fin come out of the water and you're like, nope, that's good, thanks.
Pardon? It's getting warmer. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The currents are changing there.
There would always be a great white from time to time. That would, somebody would see it or it'd be tagged and they would notice. But now what they're seeing is 4 of them, 5 of them in a week's time span, and they're all different sharks. So they're really starting to move north as the water warms up.
So just something to keep in mind if you go to Nova Scotia and you want to go in the water.
So day 7, we did the Cabot Trail. I think everybody here has anybody here not done the Cabot Trail? We'll do the Cabot Trail. It's a lot of fun. We did the Cabot Trail in one day. We probably would not do that again. We probably split the Cabot Trail into 2 days. And top it all off, there was construction because of the all the rain that was happening. So a lot of there's a lot of washouts, a lot of stops. And that really stopped us from doing it in what we thought would be an 8-hour day, turned into a 12-hour ride. That was a long day.
But
Top it all off.
It was beautiful though. We couldn't ask for better weather.
Yeah,
It was really nice. No fog. It was sunny, warm, perfect.
I'm one of those folks that I don't like itineraries, so I had no idea where we were sleeping that night. By the time we were finished in Port Hawkesbury, we were so tired that we actually contacted an inn in Antigonish. They had no rooms left, but she did say, I have a 2-bedroom apartment underneath my house. You can rent that for the night. So we did, and it was a fantastic time. Really good opportunity.
Best pizza I've ever had.
Yeah, good food.
Did you go counterclockwise or clockwise?
We did counter
Yeah.
clockwise.
And the reason we did that was that so we weren't looking over the road. We were riding right beside the cliffs.
Yep.
So it makes for a much nicer view.
You'll see this this photo here. You'll probably see this road in a lot of pictures. You can't get that if you're doing it clockwise. So day 8, 9, and 10, we left Antigonish. We took the Atlantic Seaview Road, which is down here at Sheet Harbor.
Oh, this was after visiting with my sister for a couple days.
Before.
Oh, before, sorry, yes.
Went into Halifax and then cut across to Centerville, where we stayed for 3 days to visit family.
And that's about all I can handle with my sister because her life is chaos. But it was very nice of her to put us up and so we could do some laundry.
So that is a bacon, lobster, macaroni, and cheese that I did. That was a $110 dish of macaroni and cheese with bacon and lobster in it.
There's 2 pounds of lobster in that.
So we found a guy selling lobster by the bag, and I think it was about $38, which wasn't a great deal, but it wasn't a terrible deal.
It was very fresh.
So we snatched it up. And then there's some sightseeing. Amy went out for a day. I went out for a day and did that.
Falls Harbor, that was nice.
Day
Falls Harbor's
11.
Beautiful.
This was a campground, but we took the ferry. If you haven't taken the ferry from Digby to St. John or St. John to Digby, it's a really awesome ferry ride.
We have a thing
And-
for ferries. We like going motorcycles on ferries for some reason, but yeah.
That is a nice ferry though.
Yeah, it's really scenic. You'll see some wildlife if you get a chance. You're going to see porpoise. You're going to see all the like. And then getting into St. John and then over to Oak Bay Campground.
Oak Bay is one of our favorite spots.
Yeah, this is our site in Oak Bay. Every time we go by Oak Bay and we know we're going to be camping, we actually book this spot. We try to book it ahead of time, and she's really good about it. You can't beat the view, and you can't beat where it's at.
The tide comes in and out, so we put on our water shoes and we literally like walk all the way out.
Yeah.
It's really nice. So, and these are things that you don't see when you stay in hotels. We go motorcycle camping, you see things like this. So, and we don't always eat MREs. Sometimes we actually get takeaway too.
Day 12, Oak Bay to Stony Brook. This was a really fantastic drive. We didn't do the 95. I know it says we did 95, but we didn't. We did 2. If you've ever done Highway 2 in Maine, or you want to go through Maine, take Highway 2. It's a fantastic road. It's going to take you through all the little towns. It's going to take you through all the different sites, and you're going to have a great old time.
Lots of twisties, very scenic.
What I would recommend is if you also get a chance to do Bar Harbor, take the scenic Highway 1. We did Highway 1 last year and on the way out, and Highway 1 is extremely scenic. The first time we did it, it was pissing down rain. We couldn't see a bloody thing. And then the second time we did it, we were just amazed at everything we missed on our first trip.
Highway 2 is Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon.
Yes, yeah.
It crosses the states completely.
Yeah, and we've taken it right from New York all the way through.
That's number 2, yeah.
So the nice thing too is last year we stopped in Bangor and took a little tour of the area where Stephen King's house is. So
Yeah.
Whose house?
Stephen King. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
There's some weird statuary in his yard. So
That's cemetery.
Yeah.
yeah.
He lives so close to Highway 2, you can literally get off the highway and walk there in 2 minutes. He's extremely close to the Air National Guard and airport as well. Campsites with pools, they're a plus. There's nothing that, if you're on the road in August for 14 days, you're going to be warm all the time. Finding a place with a pool just to get in there and just let that heat dissipate, it's fantastic. This is a motorcycle-friendly campsite, believe it or not. The first time we went, it was up on a hill, and we were never going to make it. So we actually just went down, and they gave us another site. Not very motorcycle-friendly at all. But in the middle of the woods, you had 4 bars of Wi-Fi, which was something almost unheard of, which is great. They had a pool, and they did breakfast the next morning. So I had you could just have a great country breakfast the very next morning. Yeah, it was really, really good. Treated really well.
And then along the way home, we found like these nice little places to stop as we're going through Vermont. And yeah, I found this amazing state park that I stopped in and did a small hike in. It was Grafton Notch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, state park. And it was amazing. It's all been carved out by glaciers. So you know what it's like when you're on the motorcycle and you see something interesting, you pull off and you're like, wow, like I never would have seen this. So yeah, lots of interesting things to see.
Day 13. This was a very bad day. Why was it a bad day? It was beautiful scenery. But we found from leaving Storybrooke to getting just to the Quebec border, it was 10:30 in the morning, maybe 11 in the morning. I had no idea it wasn't going to take very long. We went through the Jay Peak area. beautiful sights, beautiful scenery. But I was thinking, you know, we're so close to home, we should probably just go home. And Amy warned me and said that'll be a bad idea. But I didn't listen to her because, well, I didn't listen to her.
Because you didn't listen to the boss.
And we ended up getting stuck on 30 for probably about 2 hours in the heat. It was bad. It really...
This in August?
In August. Yeah.
It was the one day where it was like 32 degrees.
What day of the week was it?
You know,
That was a Thursday, wasn't it?
It was a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It was a Wednesday. Yeah.
And you're on the 30th?
And we took the 30, and by the time my calculation, I calculated we'd be home by 2:30, and my wrong. We get on there and there's rush hour, and then everybody's deciding to take the toll bridge because that's what everybody does. So now your highway's backed up for miles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you're just crawling along. Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of talking on the way home. We did stop at a gas station where, you know, you get a drink of water and fuel up. And then there wasn't much talking on the way home. But we made it home all right, and immediately set out to get everything cleaned up. And it's a really bad shot of Jay Peak area. But yeah, it was a good time.
I thought this was a good picture because I thought it also kind of showed like what our setup is on our bike. Well, on my bike anyways. So obviously I have my 2 cases. In one case, I fit all of my camp gear, including our kitchen, our entire kitchen, and I can show this on like a different presentation or something. Our entire camp kitchen packs into a little bag like this, and I can cook any meal you want in that little bag. I pull everything out, I have a kitchen. This bag here holds all of my sleeping gear, my air mattress, that sort of thing, and then any extra stuff that I happen to carry. My other pannier carries just my clothes, which come out in one bin, and in there is also my laundry bag. My laundry bag is this big, and I can wash all of our clothes in it. And yes, we have washed clothes on the road. We put all of our clothes into a dry bag with a couple of the laundry leaves, and we do this. Wash the clothes, rinse them out.
The washing bin.
That's my washing bin, yes. But everything is very self-sufficient. So I carry about half the gear, and then Glenn carries the other half of the gear, like our tent and our tarp and things like that. So it works. And we've worked it out in such a way that we are planning on living off the bikes like this for anywhere from 6 months to a year when Glenn retires from the military. So that's our plan. So,
593 days.
but who's counting?
And there will be no talking.
There will be some days where there will be no talking.
So Amy was playing with her camera, and
So this was on the Cabot Trail. I finally bought a helmet mount for my camera, and I was just kind of testing it out. But I think it was really nice because I'm like, wow, look at these views. That's amazing. So just to give you a little bit of a, like, this is what it's like to ride the Cabot Trail. It looks like we're going fairly slow. We're not actually going that slow, so. But.
They didn't have those in Europe. What are those things?
it's undocumented road features. You can't camp there. You gotta move on. You can't.
But the nice thing about the roads on the Cabot Trail too is there's so many pull-offs where you can just stop and take pictures and admire the scenery and talk to other people. And you know what it's like on a motorcycle. Somebody sees you on a bike and they come over and they talk to you. So, and the amount, oh, by the way, this thing on the back of Glenn's bike here, that's a solar panel. So we also don't rely upon power when we're at campsites. We don't need power, we have solar panel. So they all unfold, we each have one, plug our devices in, everything gets charged up. So.
That's just taking the terror of camping away for a lot of people.
Yeah. And this is why I would recommend if you're going to do the Cabot Trail, do it counterclockwise. Otherwise, you will never see.
Counterclockwise.
Yeah, counterclockwise.
And you're not looking through traffic either.
Yeah.
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 But you are very close to that area.
But we really did luck out with the weather because a lot of times it's very overcast, rainy, foggy, but not that day. It was perfect.
Good job, you've got that art school sticker on there, Amy.
It's slowly peeling away.
Your solar panel, is it rigid or is it flexible?
I'm sorry?
The solar panel, is it rigid or flexible?
It's a bit of both. It'll fold up. It's 21 watts, and it'll fold up into a small kind of like just a little pad. It is malleable, but I wouldn't be I wouldn't try to adjust that. But you fold it out, it'll charge a battery pack or your phone up in a couple hours. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Where'd you find that, Glenn?
That actually you can just buy on Amazon pretty much if you wanted to. You can buy it at any sale, MEC, Mountain Equipment Co-op, those types of places. 21 watt solar panel, portable, probably they've gone up in price, anywhere from about $50 to $110 I think now. Yeah. Well, you won't get 21 watts. The max I think I was able to get was 15, and that was literally sitting on the back of the bike, all unfolded. And I had a portable power bank, and it was drained almost to nothing. It was down to about maybe 13%. And by the time we were done riding for the day, it was fully charged. And it almost takes that long plugging into a wall. So it was really good. It was good. She's got a panel, I got a panel. So if we have to, we got enough power for our comms, enough power for all the appliances that we plug into the bikes. Yeah.
Everything plugs in.
We didn't really focus on like camping side of things, like gear and tips and tricks. Like I said, everything's got to serve two purposes. There's a lot of little neat tips and tricks. And here's a tip and trick: don't bring a flint and steel. Bring a lighter. Right? I don't know why people do that, but I bring a lighter. A flint and steel, like
You see these hardcore guys, they're like,
why would you do that? Just
with their
bring a
little
lighter.
Ferron sticks, and I'm like, there's a lighter, they're 50 cents, buy a
Give
lighter.
away your voice.
Yeah.
In the movies, you lose the lighter.
Did you bring those little tent chairs?
Yes.
They're on your bike?
Well, she has. You have both those bikes.
We usually bring both of those because this is quite literally the bag it fits in.
Yeah.
And anybody can come and sit in it. They're quite sturdy. They hold up to 300 pounds. And it is super comfortable. This is what I sit at the fire.
And I brought this chair only because we're going to a BMW club. Fiona, Suzuki, everybody.
This is our table that's looking a little beat up, but it's aluminum, so we can cook on it, we can cut on it, anything. It folds up and goes into like another small case too. As far as lighting, we used to bring camp lanterns. We don't need them.
No, we just bring headlamps now.
Headlamps.
I've got a solar one that I just used to leave out on my bike, and then you inflate it. And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
hang it in the tent.
Yeah.
Those are neat
Inside
too.
this big chandelier.
We did find that they don't last a long time though, so.
But I don't stay awake that long.
Not at your age, eh?
I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of glow sticks. This one I usually hang on the outside of our tent so that we can find our tent, because a lot of times we're not camping in actual campgrounds and it gets dark fast when you're out in the woods. So we put up our little glow sticks. You can make them flash if you want. But these actually give off a surprising amount of light in the dark. So they make it very easy to find your way.
I wouldn't do that on those abandoned airport there, the flash. It might attract, just don't use the red ones.
Well, the interesting thing about the abandoned runways are they're concrete. I mean, they're still asphalt. They're nobody's there. Nobody will be there. And
they're level. You don't have to worry about sleeping on an angle.
So it's actually a really good spot that a lot of people don't pick up on. Stay at.
We used to do astronomy, and there's a place that has an abandoned airport, and all
although planes can't go there, cars go there for dragways.
Yeah.
So you can get some surprises for some of these places.
Yeah, you'll get ATVers, dirt bikes. You're going to get all that type of traffic from time to time. But there's so many abandoned places out there. Old logging roads, there's a ton of them. There's a ton of old abandoned park roads too that nobody really goes down anymore. Closed provincial parks, you're free to camp on them. You can do whatever you want. The good thing about the provincial parks is they come with a fire ring, and they usually come with outhouses if you need them. The biggest challenge is water.
Yeah.
We might have a dozen ways in which we could find water or get water or storage water, but really when it comes down to it, you're never going to drink enough water. You find at the end of day 2, you're really starting to realize you haven't drank enough water, and it's just a matter of timing it in your trip. Sometimes you just want to get to the next spot. That sometimes you just skip that and you keep going, thinking I'll be fine with this 2 liters, but that 2 liters will be gone by 8 p.m. So that's what we found was the biggest challenge, getting water.
But we always bring our, we have a Sawyer water filtration too, so if you find a relatively clean water source, like, I wouldn't say, like, they say you can drink it, I still boil it first, but we filter it and then we boil it, so.
Boiled water doesn't taste good, by the way.
We've experienced lots of wildlife in our camping adventures though.
Yeah.
Remember Natana's Point?
Yeah, I'll sometimes leave food out accidentally.
Or sometimes we've had food brought into our tent from or to our campsite from bears.
Yeah, we had a watermelon brought in.
Yeah, a bear dropped off a watermelon in our camp one time. That was great. We're laying in our tent, and we kept hearing this whoomp, whoomp outside. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And of course, we don't keep any food in our tent. I don't keep toothpaste in the tent. There's nothing that would attract an animal inside of our tent. If you lock them up in your panniers, they're pretty airtight, so we've never had a problem with animals getting into the bikes. But yeah, the next morning, like, we woke up and there was a sizable watermelon in our camp, and I'm like, that was not there before. And oh look, there's a bear footprint. Yeah, okay. And of course, we're laying in our tents and we have our knives with us, so we're like.
If you hear an animal outside, just leave the animal alone. Just let it do what it's going to do. No sense you scaring it or it scaring you, and it's just not worth it. Chances are it's not a bear. Chances are it's a raccoon or a squirrel. They're making a noise that seems like it's a bear because it's 2 a.m. and it's pitch black and you can't see anything. But no, bear spray. Bear spray is big, and you got to be careful. Depending on who you get, you can't bring bear spray across the border.
Yeah.
But most of the border crossings in New England will let you bring bear spray across the border. They're usually pretty good about that. They know you're on the bike. They know you're not. You're not staying in hotels. They know that you're roughing it. They're pretty good about that. Yeah. Just tell them. Be honest.
And don't just run out and buy bear spray and put it in your holster. Get an empty one. You can buy the empty ones. Practice with them, because you want to have some sort of aim. You don't want to just be like running and screaming and bear spray going everywhere, and all of a sudden now you're pepper spraying yourself in the face, and it's not a good scene.
Pay attention to the wind direction.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to scare you guys off of camping. It's just there's different variations of camping. There's provincial park camping, which is quite civilized. There's private campground camping, which is even more civilized. And then there's, hey, let's go find an abandoned runway and pitch a tent on it. Not so civilized.
Before we get too uncivilized, because I think you've got them almost thinking that camping sounds like a good idea. I know I am. I'd just like to interject. Are there any burning questions for Amy and Glen that we can save for next time, because there's going to be another chance? And there's Ray over there. He's got my money. Just hold fire.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the 50-50 draw.
Anxious Annie. He'll be there in a moment. But before we do that, we have a little presentation, very small, so it'll fit on the bike, for Amy and for Glen. And thank you. I think that's been the most entertaining AGM that we've had in my time.